Good evening. Welcome to the Audit Committee of Mid Sussex District Council. Our meeting today, Tuesday, the 18th of February. This is an additional meeting to the Audit Committee's agenda for the year. And because of the backstop papers we processed, we are considering the accounts, mainly financial statements for 24 as the main item on the agenda. Before we start the meeting, are there any apologies for absence? I think we have Councillor Clark and Councillor Cherry sent their apologies. No substitutions. Also I'd like to welcome Councillors Eggleston and Hicks, the members of the Cabinet attending the meeting, and our auditor from Ernst & Young, or EY, Hassan Rahiman. Thank you for coming. Okay, to receive any declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest? None? Okay, thank you. Can we agree the minutes from the last meeting, please? Is everybody happy with those? Agreed. Thank you. I will sign those. There are no urgent items of business, so we turn to item 5, which is the financial statements. I'm going to invite Louise Duffield to introduce the report.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, committee. So members will recall that we met in November to sign off the 22-23 accounts in line with the backstop arrangements. We're now pleased to be considering the 23-24 accounts. These accounts have had a full audit. The only reason that they have a disclaimed opinion is because the opening balance, which carries over from the closing balance from last time, had a disclaimed opinion. So that's part of what's rolling through. Committee will note that we have tabled Appendix D. That is available for those watching online. It was put online about an hour ago. It's an administrative paragraph that doesn't have any bearing on our accounts, but Ernst & Young have asked all of their clients to add it in. So the recommendation in Appendix D is to delegate to Rachel the authority to insert that into our accounts after this evening. I'm sure Hassan will go on to explain a little bit more about what it means, but it has no impact. There's no material impact on our accounts. There are some minor non-material administrative points that I've drawn your attention to in the cover report. Again, they have no bearing or impact. And you'll see that the only thing that has been drawn to your attention, it relates to pension valuations, and this is a timing matter. And so we receive our annual statement from the pension funds audit, and when those timings are slightly out of sync, you can see a valuation difference. So, Chairman, you might wish to invite Hassan to speak.
Please do, Mr.
Thank you, thank you, Chair. So I'll just briefly take you through the executive summary. Just firstly to say that overall what we're reporting is a positive position. So we kind of set out in our plan we plan to undertake all the procedures that we could undertake, and in order to, as part of the audit, we've undertaken that, and you'll see in Appendix A that we've given a green assurance in respect of all areas. The areas which are either highlighted as amber or red are those which are primarily impacted by opening balances, and the fact that we can't gain full assurance in those particular areas relating to valuations of property, plant and equipment, and on the comprehensive income and expenditure account. We've also, within the report, outlining that in relation to our value for money responsibilities, we haven't identified any significant weaknesses in arrangements which we need to report to you by exception. So, as I said, overall that is a positive position, as Louise has outlined, because the 22-23 financial statements were disclaimed as part of the government's reset processes, these accounts are also being disclaimed. The FRC has published some guidance in relation to what disclaimed audit in 22-23 means and the knock-on impact for subsequent years. So if members haven't had sight of that guidance, it may be worth a read, because you'll see from that it outlines that the following 2 years there'll be a disclaimed audit. The third year is the year which they anticipate then there'll be a modification to the audit report, and then the fourth year when authorities who are in that position, assuming everything else has gone well, will be in a position to get an unmodified report. So within the executive summary on your page 19, first of all, your page 18, we set out the context, which I've just briefly gone through in terms of the reset process and the different phases of the reset, which the government have outlined. So we're now in phase 2 in terms of looking to conclude the 23-24 audit by the backstop date of the 28th of February. On page 19 of the report, we set out, as I've highlighted, that we're be anticipating issuing a disclaimed opinion. On your page 20, in terms of scope changes, just to bring to your attention that we did kind of reassess our materiality on receipt of the draft financial statements and updated our materiality levels from what was previously included in our audit planning report. And we also outlined there the status of the audit. So it's just really looking at the final closing procedures in terms of undertaking a subsequent events review. So we do that up to the date that we issue the opinion, and then following on from today's meeting, receiving the signed letter of representation and the signed financial statements. On the executive summary, in terms of your page 21, Louise has already highlighted the one difference which we're reporting on, and as she's outlined, that is due to we classify it as a judgmental error, so it's not a misstatement, it's an issue of judgment, because it relates to the pension fund valuations and timing of that, and also the assurances we get from the pension fund auditor in terms of the work which they're doing on at the pension fund as part of their year-end audit. We didn't have any other reporting matters to report in terms of the annual governance statement. In respect of the whole of government accounts, the NAO have issued their group instructions, but they haven't actually clarified whether any further assurances will be required. So as a result of that, currently we can't, whilst we can issue the disclaimed opinion, as well as issuing the opinion, we have to certify that the audit is closed, and what that certification in terms of the audit being closed means that we've completed all the procedures that we need to complete. But because they haven't outlined whether any further assurances are required in respect to whole of government accounts, we won't be able to certify that particular element as being closed. But that doesn't kind of impact on the work that we've undertaken in relation to the council. On your page 22, we summarise there the significant risks and areas of focus which we highlighted within our audit plan. Further details of the work that we undertook and the conclusions that we reached are contained within section 2 of the report. And then on your page 23, we highlight there just one controlled observation that we had, and that was in relation to testing which we undertook in respect of declarations of interest. And as part of the work that we do, we check back to records that are available on Companies House, and noted some queries in relation to those particular areas, and also within on that page 23, we also confirm our independence, and further details of our independence are outlined within section 8 of the report. Not proposing to do page turner now, but I'm happy to take any questions which members may have.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from any members? I'll just ask you about the, sorry, Councillor Bates.
Councillor Cornish.
Oh, sorry. Councillor Cornish, do you want to go first?
Thank you. It's just a quick one on with regard to the register of interest. Is that a member's liability, or is that a council's liability? How does it impact the council if there's inconsistencies there, or is that solely the member's responsibility? Thank you.
So as part of, and officers can come in as part of your policies and procedures, there's a requirement for members and certain officers to declare their interests. And as I said, as part of our testing, what we do, we look to other available sources of information to see whether or not those declarations, in our view, are full, and whether there's potentially any issues that maybe should have been declared that weren't declared. Ultimately, it's a responsibility for individuals who are completing the declarations of interest to make sure that they're completing it to the fullest extent possible.
Sorry, yes. Louise Dufford, do you want to answer from the council's point of view?
Yes, so thank you for inviting me. I add a different context. So yeah, under the Localism Act, it is up to individual members to manage their own interests and refresh them. You'll see that the management comment on page 40 of the pack, which was compiled by Rachel and Edwina as our monitoring officer. I think from EY's perspective, that check against Companies House was an available source of public data. I think perhaps we feel that there's both a responsibility on members to take, to ensure that they complete their declarations, but also to make a judgment about what is relevant to declare. And it may be that at the time that those declarations were made, the things that were on Companies House were no longer relevant, etc., etc. So I think what we've tried to set out in our management comment also reflects the fact that Mazars, as our internal auditors, have just done a full audit of our declarations of interest, which will come to your next meeting. And we're quite confident in the robustness of our procedures.
Okay. Anyone else got any other questions? Okay, I'll ask my question then. In terms of the pension fund, 514k, you're basically just noting it, aren't you, as something which comes from the pension audit?
Yeah, that's correct. We're just we are noting it, and as Louise has outlined earlier on, at a time when you're preparing your financial statements, you're doing it at the best available information at the time. So using the information which you've received in terms of from the actuary, because they will, for all scheduled bodies, they'll prepare what they call a IS19 report, which outlines, the share of assets and liabilities and the disclosures which need to go into the financial statements, and that's undertaken at a point in time. Later on, as part of the pension fund audit, it may well be the case that using more up-to-date information, there's the auditors may well identify that the valuation of assets may be different to what the actuary's view was at the time when they prepared their report. So it's not uncommon to see some of those differences, and usually it will only be if the difference in valuation is material, then we'd request an amendment to be made.
Fine. Thank you. Anyone else got any other questions? Councillor Carvalho.
Thank you, Chair. My question revolves around sort of material or persuasive misstatements. I note that you think it will be 26, 27 before you'll be able to be in a position where you can give a full audit statement on the accounts. So in the meantime, if there are small misstatements that might be compounded over several years, how do you intend to deal with that? Would you restate the years, or would you just make one adjustment in the 26-27 financial statements?
So as part of the work that we're undertaking at the moment, so for example, the work that we've undertaken on your 23-24 financial statements, if we have identified any differences, we'll report them to management. And management will take a view as to whether or not they amend the financial statements for those differences. If they were material, then I'm sure that they will, and if they didn't, we'll be reporting on it. And if there were errors which were potentially non-judgmental, then again that's a line which Louise and Rachel will consider. And my expectation is that in those kind of cases, they probably will amend the financial statements. So moving up to the year in terms of when unmodified report will be issued. So each year there will be procedures that will have been undertaken on the financial statements. So, and if there are errors in relation to those particular years, they'll be they will be reported and I anticipate amended.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any questions? Do you just want to touch on Appendix D that you've asked us to include?
So within Appendix D, as part of my kind of review, I identified that there wasn't a disclosure relating to the Virgin Media case. So the Virgin Media case, there's just been a ruling recently in the courts, and there's a potential for pension funds may need to consider whether, as a result of the Virgin Media case, whether they need to make any allowances based on a review which has been undertaken by GAD, I believe. They're going through in terms of assessing the applicability to the local government pension scheme. They haven't identified at this stage any issues, but that kind of review is still in progress. So what we're suggesting is that there's reference made to the case, and there's reference saying that because the review is currently ongoing, no allowances are being made at this point in time. It may well change in the future, although I don't expect it will. But it's just in case there's that reader of the accounts who's familiar with the case and then starts asking questions about what's the impact on for Horsham District Council. So you're just saying that they're at this state in the proceedings, based on the available information that you have, there are no allowances that need to be made for it within your financial statements.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any more questions? Okay, so I think we will move to a vote on the agenda items, which are on page 9, I think, in your pack. So the committee's asked to basically recommend the audit report and accept it. So if you want to vote on your panel, Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you. We need now, to sign some documents before we let you go. Thank you.
I'm keeping hold of them, so.
Okay.
You're not taking them away?
No, we can scan them here.
Hassan, thank you very much for coming, but I think with the chairman's permission, you can venture off. Thank you. Thank you.
And then
We can do this at the end, can't we?
we can, sorry.
Sorry.
I've done it now. So it's here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Safe driving in the weather.
Okay, so we move to item 6, which is the annual governance statement. Invite Louise Duffield to introduce the report, please.
Thank you, Chairman. So as Councillor Lucraft said at the beginning, this is an extra audit committee. This was a document that was due to come in March, but is ready now, so we thought we'd bring it to you. The annual governance statement is a document that's prepared by Rachel and Edwina as our monitoring officer. It looks back, not forward. So it's only got 6 weeks of this year remaining. So that's why the position is as it is. It's obviously signed by the leader and the head of paid service, chief executive as well. It hasn't moved materially from last year, so you may feel that it is similar. We have updated key things like the changes to the Procurement Act that come in just towards the end of this year. But happy to take any questions.
Any questions, anyone? No? Okay. So we move to a vote, please. Okay, that's passed unanimously. Thank you. Right. Next item is the Audit Committee's work programme for 2024-5. Louise, would you like to introduce that report, please?
Thank you, Chairman. So yes, we have our last meeting of this municipal cycle in 4 weeks' time. As you can see, that's focused on internal audit, both an update on this year and the forward view for what's proposed for next financial year, and also strategic risks. So those will all be coming to you in a month's time.
Anybody got any questions, concerns, comments? Very good. Okay, so I think we can vote on that. Somebody's not voted. All right, very good. This is unanimous as well. Thank you very much. Okay, there are no questions pursuant to procedure rule 10.2. So I'm going to close the meeting. Thank you all for your time. Yeah, it's a bit warmer.
We shouldn't.